What's going on, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel and MCU, and there are many different awesome superhero teams coming to the MCU, like the New Avengers, the Young Avengers, the Thunderbolts, and a lot more, which I'll talk about in this video. But perhaps one of the coolest teams is a Supernatural Avengers group, the Midnight Sons, which are reportedly coming to the MCU relatively soon, and the lineup for the Midnight Sons is reportedly already set, and it's a really good one that I think many people are going to thoroughly enjoy, because if you caught my video the other day, you know that it means characters like Ghost Rider are finally going to be entering the MCU. So I'll break down this new report and talk about the characters that are going to make up the new Midnight Suns Supernatural team, and talk about the villains also that the Midnight Suns could be going up against in the MCU. Reminder, only 12 days left in my Stormbreaker giveaway. All you have to do to enter is subscribe to my channel and Cosmic Culture, link in the description down below. So if you caught my video a couple of days ago, you know that Ghost Rider is reportedly on his way to the MCU in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And it looks like that film is going to be where the Midnight Suns team starts to assemble. That's the start of their team coming together. Now, originally it was just reported that Ghost Rider was coming, but now we have an idea of what his teammates on this team are going to look like. The Ghost Rider report came from that hashtag show, and this report is also coming from them as well. In their report, they state that this week they can exclusively share that Marvel is working on a Midnight Suns movie, which is currently in early development. They go on to say that the Midnight Suns is a group within Marvel Comics that consists of supernatural heroes that fight supernatural threats, and Marvel Studios is wanting to build the Midnight Suns to be the Supernatural Avengers team, more or less. And then they say something pretty interesting. They say that while there have been previous reports regarding the Midnight Suns being adapted into the MCU, they were inaccurate at the time. Apparently, Marvel didn't have all of the characters that they wanted in place for the film. However, now, with Blade and Moon Knight coming to the MCU and the Doctor Strange sequel bringing a lot of characters into the MCU, it's now a big priority for Marvel, and a realistic one according to that hashtag show. Now, as far as the team is concerned, they say that the roster will start off small and grow in future films as with any team-up film. It will start with Doctor Strange, Moon Knight, Blade, Hannibal King, Hellstrom, Ghost Rider, and the Scarlet Witch. Hannibal King and Hellstrom will reportedly be introduced in Blade and fleshed out further in Midnight Suns, while Ghost Rider will be utilized in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness before continuing on in the Midnight Suns. And of course, Moon Knight has a series coming up on Disney Plus, and Blade is going to have a movie. Now, the report also reveals who the villain is reportedly going to be. They claim that while plot details are scarce, as this is still in early development, they can exclusively share that Blackout will be the primary villain, with teases of Mephisto throughout. Here we go again. Let's just start right now, throw all of the Mephisto theories out there. Let's just get them out there right now. Kevin Feige is Mephisto, confirmed. Now, we'll talk about the villain and the lineup in just a bit, but let's talk about the different teams inside of the MCU first. Now, this really does seem like a direction that Marvel Studios is heading, branching out into various different parts and teams of their already giant universe, and this is great news for us because that only means that we're going to be getting more. Different content, more content. We've had reports for a while now stating that the MCU will be broken up into two major groups, a cosmic side and an earth side. And yes, I will be taking my full claim on the cosmic side. And I will call my heroes the Cosmic Avengers. If you're listening, Marvel, make it happen. But on these different sides, there is clearly going to be many different teams, and the Supernatural team is going to be one of them. And then I think there's going to be one major group that controls all of the other teams, and that is going to be the Illuminati. So let me break it down for you. On the Earth side, we're going to have teams like the New Avengers, the Young Avengers, the Dark Avengers hopefully, the Midnight Suns or the Supernatural Avengers, the Thunderbolts, and any other crazy cool team that Marvel could be hiding from us right now. Then you have the Cosmic side, or the side that's going to be addressing all of the problems and villains outside of Earth. They will have their own Avengers team, of course. We'll call them the Cosmic Avengers. They'll have the Guardians of the Galaxy. Thor, of course, who will most likely be a part of the new Cosmic Avengers team, or perhaps he'll get the Revengers back together.
Has it got a name?
It's called the Revenges.
Revenges?
Because I'm getting revenge. You're getting revenge, and you're...
I'm undecided.
After all, the Loki series is going to bring in many different Lokis, maybe one of them will stick around. Then we have the Marvels, which will be Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau, with her new powers making her one of the Marvels. All of these characters will come together in Captain Marvel 2, which will also be a part of the Secret Invasion storyline, so this is kind of going to take place on the cosmic side and the Earth side. Then, if Kevin Feige ever gets working on the Nova film he keeps talking about, we could have Nova and maybe have the Nova Corps return as well. So you have your Earthbound teams, and then you have the space or cosmic teams, and then I think they'll both be controlled by the Illuminati. In the comics, that's really what the Illuminati is. It's pretty much a council of all of the leaders of all of the different teams. Tony Stark from the Avengers, Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four, Professor X from the X-Men, so on and so forth. It's obviously going to be different in the MCU, but with so many teams in the MCU, it would make sense that they would need a group that kind of communicates between all of them. They're all trying to defend the Earth and or universe, so they're kind of gonna all need to be in sync, and the Illuminati could be just what they need. Now, I could probably talk for years, let's be honest, and I probably will talk for years about all of these different teams, but let's keep it focused on the recently announced team, the Midnight Sons. In this report, they mention a very specific roster for the team, one that will probably get a lot of people excited, and one that's a little different from the original lineup in the comics. Now, most of these characters fit in this team pretty well, and all of which have pretty much been on the team in the comics. Doctor Strange, Moon Knight, Blade, Hannibal King, Hellstrom, Ghost Rider, but then they mention the Scarlet Witch, which is pretty cool to hear because of the path that she's currently going on. After WandaVision, she is now embracing more of the witch side of herself, getting more into that supernatural side. And she's learning from a very supernatural and evil book, The Darkhold. This is all going to lead up into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, in which we believe she is ultimately going to end up helping Dr. Stephen Strange defeat an evil demon of some sort. And this is where Ghost Rider is also supposed to appear as well. So this is going to be the start of the Midnight Sons, where you have Doctor Strange, the Scarlet Witch, and Ghost Rider, if all of these reports end up being accurate. But this will start the team, and then, much like the Avengers was built up, this team will be built up as well until they all come together to fight a villain. But who are the villains? Mephisto confirmed. I'm only partly kidding, because I do think that he is eventually going to be coming to the MCU. In this report, they claim that Mephisto is in the works over at Marvel Studios, and this simply makes sense. If we're going down this supernatural path with demons and evil gods, it only makes sense that he's creeping out there in the MCU somewhere. How does Ghost Rider get his powers? Mephisto. Who originally took Wanda's kids from her? Mephisto. And who do we think we see in that Loki trailer? Mephisto. I really do think he's coming, but for those of you who are rolling your eyes at me right now, I will put that aside for a bit. Regardless, it does seem like there's a monsterverse / supernatural verse coming to the MCU, and with that comes very powerful supernatural villains. In the Marvel universe in general, we have Mephisto, Cthulhu, who could have very well been set up in WandaVision, Shuma Gorath, who is just reported to be the villain of Doctor Strange 2, which means it's all kind of starting to add up. Nightmare, who was supposed to come in Doctor Strange and then was supposed to come in Doctor Strange 2, but it looks like they're saving him for later, and many more awesome supernatural villains that it looks like our Supernatural Avengers, the Midnight Sons, are going to have their hands full with. And I, for one, am insanely excited to see what road Marvel Studios is going to go with for the Midnight Sons and the villains that they're going to go with as well. So be sure to subscribe so you stay up to date on everything relating to this supernatural / monsterverse side of the MCU and the Midnight Sons. In the meantime, let me know, how excited are you for this new team, and who do you think the villains of the supernatural verse are going to be? Let me know down below. Don't forget to like the video, and for live updates you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.